Hello, and welcome to the Geopolitics Explained podcast. The world of trade has undergone some dramatic shifts in the last few years. The concept of globalisation is ever present in global geopolitics, but it is constantly shifting. With Trump's recent tariffs, China's Belt and Road Initiative, and shifting geopolitical alliances, how will the globalisation of old change as we move forward? Long before the modern trade of today, we saw the rise of the Silk Roads. Throughout history, we've also seen empires such as the Romans, the Persians, and the Chinese dynasties connected through trade and ideas. From the 15th century, we saw European empires expand, especially via maritime routes. This accelerated globalization, which was upheld at the time by colonization. The Industrial Revolution of the 19th century saw railroads, steamships, and the telegraph create faster communication and greater flows of goods and information. This was the first modern wave of globalization, and it sparked the emergence of mass migration and global markets. In the aftermath of World War II, the Bretton Woods system, the IMF, the World Bank, and the United Nations all promoted economic integration. Container shipping and air travel made supply chains global in scale. For decades, the Cold War still made this world slightly split, but in its aftermath, peak optimism emerged about a borderless world. In 1995, the founding of the World Trade Organization also aided this trend. Free markets, free trade, and the internet became a foundation of this hyperconnected world. If we zoom out and explore this timeline across the centuries, the clear trend has been the world is growing more connected. But today, some aspects of globalization are being called into question. Is this a temporary shift, or are the decades and centuries of globalization in the past coming to an end? Today, the trend of globalization, which has been ongoing for centuries, isn't being reversed, but it is being reshaped. A massive trigger in this process was the response to the war in Ukraine, which, as we've seen, has created negative impacts on European and Russian trade. This is one such example of geopolitical risks overriding economics, finance, and trade, but plenty more also exist in our world today. The most vital relationship that is undergoing some reshaping is the superpower relationship between the Chinese and the United States. Trade wars, sanctions, and protectionist policies are slowing down the idea of a seamless, hyperconnected global market. Technology has become a connector in our modern world, especially through the internet, but competition to be the leading innovator in developing industries is leading global powers to fragment in strategic industries. Globalization is also revolving around critical minerals and energy that will fuel this innovation. Any nation that doesn't have a reliable supply in these necessary materials and in the energy provided to advance these industries risks being pushed around by the nations that do have access to these necessary materials and the energy. With technological growth reaching exponential levels in some sectors, such as AI, quantum technology, and semiconductors, we risk spiraling from competition to conflict between nations around the world. It's these trends especially that are fueling nations to pursue friendshoring, nearshoring, and reshoring, as we are seeing the United States pursue with Trump's manufacturing push. So the biggest element here that is leading to shifts in globalization is the rise of a multipolar world. This will lead to one of the biggest changes in the world of trade in the coming decades, as regional blocs will likely emerge, replacing the hyperconnected world of global trade. Supply chains are being restructured to reduce dependence on partners who are deemed risky, and the same goes for companies who wish to produce in more secure geopolitical environments. In this world, we will likely see the West and China pitted on opposite sides. Of course, a complete decoupling cannot occur, but these moves will still lead to dramatic shifts in the world of trade. In next episode, I'll discuss why a complete decoupling cannot occur and the issues that will arise as a result of this. But for now, let's explore how these dramatic shifts will drive changes in the world of trade over the coming years. In exploring the future of globalisation and trade, some analysts, such as Parag Khanna, predict that cities will evolve in the future, growing into megacities that will become the central hubs of trade. If we take this thesis forward, we can have a look at the top 20 ports around the world for trade volume handled per year. 15 of the top 20 ports are located in Asia, and ocean freight is responsible for over 80% of world trade by volume. Since Asia dominates maritime trade, does that mean that Asia will be the future of this regionalised period of global trade? The continent does possess many countries that are known for their manufacturing industries, which also sits to the benefit of the Indo-Pacific. Megacities of the future will function as the operating engines under regional geopolitical umbrellas. If a regional bloc doesn't have megacities, then it will lack adaptability. But if a megacity isn't a part of a regional bloc, then it risks vulnerability. As a result, both will emerge hand in hand more prevalently in this shifting world of trade. The regionalisation of global trade could be the framework for the future of trade, and megacities will be the nodes that allow the system to function. Asia faces the massive advantage of its dense megacities, which are already leading sites today in finance, shipping, technology, and manufacturing. There are also many overlapping blocs here that can provide even greater tailwinds for Asia. ASEAN, China, the Gulf states, India, BRICS, and the Belt and Road Initiative all entrench Asia's intra-regional trade potential. If we add in Asia's economic growth potential to this discussion, then many countries have the potential to grow into big economic players in the coming century, including China, India, Indonesia, and Pakistan. However, these positive trends for Asia aren't guaranteed. What issues will the region need to navigate? Now, first of all, some countries in Asia are undergoing demographic issues with shrinking populations, such as China, Japan, and South Korea. However, other countries in the region do have youthful demographics, and so the region as a whole could adapt, but this is an issue that some nations will need to address. Some technological innovations could also work to address the typical stagnation that population declines can contribute to. This would likely involve artificial intelligence, but this is a rather deep topic that will massively affect the world of work moving forward, both positively and negatively. There are also geopolitical clashes in the Indo-Pacific region that could spike and hinder regional trade. India-Pakistan, India-China, China and the Philippines, China-Taiwan, and the Middle East all see tensions fluctuate to varying degrees from time to time. This risks megaport cities, which would be impacted by potential geopolitical regional disruptions. The Strait of Malacca is always cited as one such maritime transport route that, if disrupted, would impact global trade extensively. Even if these rivalries don't spike, they could fragment regional cohesion, even if individual megacities are thriving. Another issue in this story that I've not even touched on is the status of the West. The United States under Trump has seemingly recognised its inherent weakness, and they're seeking dramatic change in multiple geopolitical realms. In trade, military, finance, and innovation especially, the United States will put up a fight against the tailwinds that Asia naturally possesses. The United States is also making moves to secure greater diverse access to raw materials and to boost its domestic manufacturing. Whether these moves become the reality will be told with time, but the current efforts are clear to see. It's how the United States slows its empire's decline and how Asia's clear tailwinds interact with each other that will determine how this story of regionalisation unfolds in the future. It's this reason why I believe that Trump will eventually turn his focus purely to the Indo-Pacific. A massive curveball for the Indo-Pacific in the world of trade is that today's system is facilitated by the US dollar. In this realm, Beijing and other countries in Asia can't fully insulate themselves. It's this issue especially that I'll discuss in next episode. In next episode, I will also discuss the role that self-sufficiency will play in the tussle between the United States and China, and how other regional blocs, such as Europe, South America, and Africa, will contribute to this shifting trade environment. That's all for today. If you enjoyed this episode, why not leave a review on the podcast platform of your choice? I've been Dylan. I'll talk to you next time.